All right, I think we're live on our very first LinkedIn Live for the Economic Alliance. Thank you everyone for joining us for this new experience for the Economic Alliance. I'm Audrey Wheeler. I'm the Operations Director here at the Economic Alliance. Happy to be joining on the first one with my good friend and collaborator, Sherry Sperlin. She is the Executive Director for the Iowa and Western Illinois areas for MRA, which is all things HR. You guys cover all of Iowa and get to hear lots of stories. So thank you so much for joining. You want to tell us a little bit about you and MRA?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're the Midwest Employers Association, and we operate out of the Midwest. And I get the pleasure of going across to Iowa and Western Illinois and collaborating with my team here and talking to businesses every day about all the things that they have going on. And it's really exciting to be talking with you today in the Economic Alliance because there's just so much great information out there that we can be sharing with organizations. And I hope we have some time today to really share some great best practices and what companies and leaders are doing.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to the discussion. We're going to try to keep it to around 10 minutes so people can just hop on this live and get some quick tidbits about information that's certainly important to our businesses here. So, but just to give everyone a background, since this is the first, we're going to be doing these on the second and fourth Tuesdays. This is the first one, and we're going to try to do 2 every second and fourth Tuesday. We're going to have a follow-up one coming at noon with Doug Newman. So I'll kind of talk about that later. But this first one, we want to talk about trends in employee engagement. And that's very important to people right now because of all of the talent challenges, getting good talent right now. So certainly keeping employees is very, very important, top of mind. So I'm looking forward to talking about that. I want to kind of focus on 3 areas because employee engagements can be really huge, cover a lot of areas. We're going to talk about flexible workplaces. We're going to talk about wellness and mental health in the workplace, and then also kind of wrap up with some technology. So starting first with flexible workplaces, kind of talk about what are the latest trends you're seeing across what you're hearing from employers in Iowa.
Yeah, employers are getting so creative, Audrey. It's so wonderful. They are having flexible schedules. I don't know if you've heard about this, like the 4-day work week is something that comes up a lot, or even picking your own schedule. And it's interesting because I talk to all different industries and all different sizes, and you would think of roles like manufacturers where you have to come, you have to be there, they have 3 shifts. You kind of think of that way that we've always done it. But recently, when I'm out talking with different industries, even manufacturers are saying, pick your own schedule, pick your own hours. And they're just getting really creative about how they're operating the business and just being really more flexible to that. Now, we know not every job can be done from home, right? You just can't take machines and parts home. And so I think when they're looking at folks that need to be in the office or be in the work setting, how can they get creative about that flexible schedule? And then others asking themselves, if they don't have to be there every day, do they? Can they have a hybrid schedule where they maybe work from home a little bit or come in the office? And some organizations are going fully remote, and we're seeing challenges with that. So needing training and supportive leadership. Something really interesting that I heard the other day that a company is doing is they're going to more of a 4-day work week, but that 5th day, you can either use it for learning and development, education, kind of grow your skills, or you can have it as a personal day. And so you can really decide how you use that fifth day.
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, that's going to come up in one of our next topics about the wellness and mental health aspect. And I kind of picked these 3 because they're all very intertwined with each other. How people are working and their work, the length of their work week kind of reflects on people's mental and health impacts there, certainly. I know me personally, and I think a few people in our organizations, it's nice to have that flexible work time where maybe you're in and out of work and personal stuff, but yet we're expanding our work week where we might not have worked just Monday through Friday. We're tapping into the weekends, and the impact on the wellness and mental health side is really kind of interesting and a little bit challenging in that area as well. The flexible scheduling and everyone setting their own schedule is really intriguing. Can you expand on that a little bit more?
Yeah, I think the biggest things that I see as far as challenges that come up is the communication side of it. And so I think organizations really need to decide what works in their culture, what works for their people and their customers and how they do business, and then really defining and being intentional about what they mean by flexible. It's kind of funny. Flexible is one of those words where it means something different to everyone. And so if we don't define it, it can go anywhere, right?
Yeah.
I think flexible for me and even you is going to be a little bit different. So really structuring the flexibility, I guess, in a way by defining what that means for you and your organization, and communicating that out to the team, and then deciding how everyone will communicate. If everyone's in a different place doing a different thing, how are we going to continue to collaborate, and being intentional about that and just having conversations about it. I think one of the biggest fears or phobias I'm seeing with the hybrid work or the remote work or the flexibility is people are, well, we're going to lose our teamwork, we're going to lose our collaboration. And it's, no, you have to be intentional and train your leaders and train your people. This is different. It's not the way we've always done business. And so I think, COVID and the pandemic definitely sped this up and gave us an opportunity to create some tools around it. Now that some things are slowing down and we're coming up with policies and practices with flexibility, it's time to just really define that and figure out how we're going to communicate that out to the organization.
Yeah. And like you said, being very, very intentional with it too. You and I were talking about that flexible, like everyone's kind of model of set your own schedule with what works for you is a new thing that people are trying. And that was very intriguing to me. And then I thought, well, as we're moving into a wellness and mental health topic here, but how do we keep our people connected and have opportunities for collaboration and feel like they're having some social interactions and stuff. And maybe with kind of set your own schedule, there's still this day that everyone's required to be in the office. So you do get some of that. So kind of being intentional about some of that stuff, as you said. Yeah. So moving more into wellness and mental health, though, what do you see businesses doing in that area to help combat some of that? You want to provide the flexibility, but then the impact to people's wellness.
Mm-hmm. I think a big thing that I'm seeing now, which I'm really grateful for, is the trend in really educating the supervisors, the managers, and the leaders around what mental health really is, kind of removing those stigmas and those layers, and really educating them on, you're hiring the whole person. In the past, it was people go to work, they leave home. Now people bring home into work, and it's just a little bit different. And so again, we have to educate our leaders, and I'm seeing businesses do that around things like empathy. I never learned about empathy in school, and when I was in high school, but as you get older and you go to college, you start to learn about empathy and things like that. And I think now businesses are bringing that into the organization, and they're defining what that means and defining how they can support their employees with mental health and what to watch for and how to be there for each other, whether it's a leader or a teammate. I think you're right with the collaboration piece. We want to be a part of a group. We want to be engaged with the organization. And so how can we continue that if people are being flexible? And then again, making sure that we have a really great support system for them.
Yeah. And I know we try to plan fun things here at this organization. I know a lot of organizations are trying to do that day off and let's go to the Colonel's ballpark together, that type of stuff, to also get that social interaction.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think one thing too is making sure you're asking your employees, what do they want? And it's activities, you say, well, it's hard to please everyone, but I think right now's the time to really get feedback and say, what do you want to do? What do you like to do? And just making sure it's an events and things that really help bring people together and collaborate in different ways.
Yeah, for sure. I was reading we talked about this in the past, but I'm going to read a statistic that just was astounding to me. Career Builders provided some recent information about indicating, they did a survey, and it's 61% of the employees on that survey claim to have be burned out on the job. And when you and I were talking about that, it was you had an interesting twist on that. It's like burned out, you think, can mean too much work, but isn't necessarily just that. So you talked a little bit about stress. Can you kind of expand on that?
Yeah, it's really interesting to me. I always used to think if you work too much, you're going to get burned out. And people used to say, slow down, Sherry, you work too much. You work
Yeah.
too much, you're going to get burned out. And that's probably where that came from. But I love what I do, right? I absolutely love it. And people that are around me know that I love what I do. I mean, who doesn't want to talk about HR and organizations every day? I don't know. And so, but then I heard recently it's actually long periods of stress which cause burnout, which makes sense now to me because if you love what you do, you're really not working, right? But
Yeah.
I need to be aware of a work-life balance, and it's absolutely important that I have one too. So I'm saying that is a good thing. But really where that burnout is coming from is that long periods of stress. And so when we talk about hiring the whole person or even being there to support our team and having conversations around flexibility, we also need to discuss the employee experience. Is that stress coming from work? What's triggering that stress? And I know a lot of us are feeling this, right? We have the great resignation happening. Maybe you don't have fully staffed right now. Maybe you're picking up extra work and you're doing extra things. And you might say to me, well, sure, I love my job. I don't like doing 3 jobs, right? And that's what's causing me some stress right now. And it's so just being aware of those things and acting as leaders and employers, how can we reduce that stress in the environment? And like you said, maybe it's even getting together and making it fun and making it a great place to work and saying, hey, we're all in this together, but we've got each other.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I want to move a little bit into our third area so we don't run out of time here, because technology, I think, can help with some of this, but it also can add more stress to certain people too. I think it's a personality thing, right? Younger generation, they're very digitally savvy. So they pick up very quickly with new technologies. Sometimes some people struggle with learning new technologies, but what have you seen as far in that realm to kind of help people communicate, collaborate? What are the tools you're seeing people use?
Yeah, I think the first thing is, again, defining for your organization, how are you communicating and collaborating, and making sure people are educated on how to use the tools. I'm always surprised about how we have all of this technology in our organizations, but a lot of folks don't know how to use it to its full purpose. And we're surprised when, oh, it can do that. It's done that the whole time. And so making sure we know how we want to communicate. I hear things a lot like, oh, Sherry, we're using 10 different ways to communicate. I'm getting notifications here and here and here. So how can we reduce that and still make it effective for everyone and then make sure everyone is trained on it? You're right. Not everybody has the same comfort level with technology. And I think that's one of the pieces why some folks are like, I just want to come to work every day. I really don't want to be involved in the technology. And some folks are, I can work anywhere. I love technology. And again, it goes back to kind of a trend of this conversation that we've had today. And I think of our vice president of workforce always says this, it's only a benefit if it benefits you. And I love that. And it applies to everything we've discussed today, because again, it's going back to your employees and having those conversations about what does work for us, what doesn't work, how do we communicate best, and what are the tools that we really need to make sure that we're fully invested in, and how can we provide that support and training? Because technology's here, we need to grow with it. Personally, I always think it's amazing, even though I don't always know how to use it, right? But it's just part of the world we live in. And so how can we reduce that anxiety, that stress, and really help our teams be comfortable with it and leveraging it to help our organizations be great?
Yeah, we implemented what we call a systems and reports functional group here, which is a cross-functional team of people from different areas kind of coming together to talk about what that new technology can look like. And so it definitely brings different perspectives. And then that team works really closely with all of the other employees as we introduce new things. So that's really worked well for us. But we have seen those different comfort levels even within our organization. So, but the tools integrated right seem to be helping and can help with the collaboration. Yeah. So again, this all ties together. There's you can go really deeply in all of these topics for sure. So I think we're coming to the end of our time, but I mean, that was a really quick LinkedIn Live, our very first one. For our audience, we certainly welcome your feedback on how these are going, because we just want to improve. And Sherry, I always enjoy collaborating with you and love your insight. So thank you for joining us today.
Same here. Thank you. This was so much fun.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see the next one.
Yeah, well, next one, good lead in. Doug Newman, I think at noon, he's going to talk about Wall Street versus Main Street. So a little bit intriguing. I'm going to leave it at that because it's always good to hear from him. So anyone that can hop on live with him at noon. And then we'll be, again, doing these the second and fourth Tuesday of each month. And then also, if you want to learn more about the Economic Alliance, you can always visit us at our website at www.cedarrapids.org. And then reach out to any of us. We love connecting on LinkedIn Live. And of course, MRA is a great resource as well for HR topics. So thank you again. And thanks to everyone for joining us.